It's time for you to renew, rejuvenate, and re-energize. This is the Wellness Travel BC podcast, keeping you connected with what's trending in wellness travel from around the province. Here's your host, Cheryl McKinnon.
Hi, welcome to Wellness Travel BC. My name is Cheryl McKinnon and I'm your host. I'm really excited this show because I'm back in one of my favorite places in all of British Columbia. And actually, as I say that, is there a favorite that I don't have? I have to tell you that this place ranks right up there. We're out in Harrison, and joining me today is the general manager of the beautiful Sandpiper Resort featuring Rowena's Inn on the River. Is that okay, Ted? Did
That's
I
perfect.
give you a good intro that
absolutely.
way? Ted Swaine, he is the general manager here and has been for many years, and we've worked together through the years, and I'm just thrilled to be back on property with you, Ted. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and it's so nice to have you back on the property.
Thank you. Well, and especially at this time of year, we're coming into the holiday season. You're decorated, the sun is shining, but most importantly, there's eagles
There's
everywhere.
so many this year.
Oh, wow. Talk about wellness.
Yeah, it's old hat for me when it comes to the eagles, but it's definitely good for the spirit to see them all flying around.
Never gets tired either, does it? Never.
No.
Like, we woke up this morning and walked out to the front door, and I have my business partner and dear friend Gail Morris with us on this trip. Thankfully, we've had so much fun, too much laughter, but a great time. And she had never been here before. So when we arrived late yesterday afternoon, the sun was just setting. It was so peaceful here. The winds were blowing through the trees. It was very windy at this time, right? This is just for those of you tuning in or have been listening. We're coming up to the end of November, and it's a blowy time on the West Coast weather at this time of year, but the winds were really up. But there was such a calm here when we arrived, and then we looked up, and all of a sudden, without a lie, there had to be hundreds of eagles soaring over us.
Yeah,
wow.
Arriving late in the afternoon like that is really perfect time. It's sort of moving time for the eagles. Like they've spent most of the day out on the river eating, and now it's time to just cruise around and then find that roosting spot for the evening. So you guys hit it right, perfect. And then again in the morning when you guys wake up, they're moving again because they're getting ready to go out and spend the day feasting.
Oh, lucky guys. So wellness, it speaks volumes out here. You're quite excited about it, and I know we're going to dive in a bit, but I want to share for our listeners a bit of background and history on where this beautiful property has been and where it's going to. So can I just throw it over to you and say, tell us.
Yeah,
what's happened?
We started out back in 95 just as a bed and breakfast. And it was really just the inn at that time, and then we had the two original cabins, which we call the classics now. Mm-hmm. And then in around 98, 99, they added two more. And then we've just recently added 7 in total. 7 new ones, I should say, and then we call those the Nature Series cabins. And there's a number of different configurations. There's 3 2-bedroom units and then the 2 more single units. And they're just, it's amazing how popular they've become. I think from the beginning, for me, this has always been a great spot for wellness and rejuvenation. It's like a great staycation. It's not far from Vancouver. You're only about 90 minutes out. You guys know when you walk on the property, you're really surrounded by nature and the tall cedars and firs here. You can pretty much walk out the back door of any building on the property and you're like in the forest already. So it's pretty amazing where we've started and then where we're at today. There's a lot of exciting new changes to come. We can talk a bit about that if you like. And
I wanted to go back to one of your comments, though, that you just made about the wellness and the sense of spiritual here on this property that has always been here, and you never even coined the phrase. Now, everywhere you look, everything you read, everything you hear is coming full circle to well-being. The United Nations, in their goals for 2030, number 3 is health and well-being for the world's people.
Yeah.
And you guys have been doing this unwittingly, and yet serving it up to people to just get away and come and relax in this beautiful environment. And you don't even have a spa.
No, we don't. Well, we're working on that.
Yeah,
so,
well,
and that's coming. We're going to work on
that.
that.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the new owners that took over in 2016 are in the middle of development strategies and planning, and we're just right now trying to figure out, okay, how does how does everything fit with what's already here? Like we don't want to tear it down to the bare bones and start again, because we feel like we have a great model already, right? We have some amazing pieces to the big puzzle, and we're just going to add to that. And so that's going to take some time. We're looking at a Japanese-inspired spa, so an onsen, which I think will be very unique for the Lower Mainland Fraser Valley. There's nothing like it that I'm aware of. I know there's the Scandinavian spas in Whistler, and that model's been done, but they want to make sure that they do it right. Obviously, telling the indigenous story is huge for us. We have a number of employees that are from the local First Nations bands, and we're really working on hard on the partnerships there.
That is really lovely to hear, especially when you say the Indigenous side, because our friends at Indigenous Tourism Canada and Indigenous Tourism British Columbia have been working to raise the profile of our Indigenous product for 15 years in the province as well. So are you working with the local band here then?
Yeah, well, there's a number of local bands. There's this Tehalis down the road. There's the Scallops band that's also closer to the Lake Aroc area, and then there's Lacamo as well. And we're working hard, like I said, with the people. They're hardworking people as well. They want the same things, and that's sort of what's coming up. It's really about the communication and the conversations. If you have them, it's amazing how much they're on board already. They're like already thinking that. So we're just like making sure that they're aware that the property, this territory that's theirs, is open. This property is open to them. They're welcome to come on board. We've worked with Rocky LaRock, who's a local artist, and he's come on board with spending time here, Journey Eagle Festival, in the last few months, and doing his carvings. We purchased a number from him, so his art is prevalent on the property. I don't know if you noticed when you walked in the front door of the restaurant.
Just jaw-dropping beautiful.
Yeah, the salmon that's above the doorway of the Clubhouse restaurant is Rocky's piece, and then there's a number of pieces also from Stephen Turnbull, who's not First Nations, but is a local chainsaw carver, and he's been on the property, and they're just a delight to work with, and they're so engaging with the people. So we're not looking to gain anything with that other than to just offer a different experience for the guests. So
and a marvelous collaboration of cultures, 100%. Is it not? Can you share a little bit of a description of the Japanese style the bath that you're speaking to, so those people tuning in are going, oh, I've never heard of that, and how it's tied to, because you found the mineral springs on
That's
the property.
Right. We did back in 2016. We started a process of taking a look at the property, being that the Harrison region here is like well known for having natural occurring hot springs. So there's a good chance that this area is known to have higher temperature water. So the owners went and started drilling in 2016, and we reached the North American standards for temperature at 21.1 degrees for the well that we drilled, and we also had water tested for mineral springs, so we actually met that qualification as well. So now we have a resource.
Wow.
So
that's
it's just a matter of just now to develop and say, okay, what are we going to do with this resource? So we're working on all aspects of what that looks like. When it comes to the actual spa itself, I think that they really were searching for something that will be unique and different, because there's so many other things that have been done. They don't want it to be like pure Japanese, because we're not in Japan, obviously, but they want to just blend what we have here West Coast, because Japanese architecture and West Coast is very similar. They've taken off each other over the years. So that's the exciting news, is that we're doing all the right things. We're trying to work with all the right people, and I think it'll add to the community in the region as well.
And just be another spectacular draw to bring people out to this part of our province. It's gorgeous. So speaking of that, timeline within the next perhaps 5 years, we hope.
Yeah, I think that you'll
not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, that's right.
We want it yesterday.
The owners are great. They've worked with the development company that works with us here at the resort and the operations team, and they wanted us to take our time with it. So you take your time. Let's make sure we get it right the first time, which is so exciting. And from an operational standpoint, for me to hear that, it's like, okay, let's not just throw it in the ground and let the operations team figure out how it's going to work. It's like, we're going to plan it all right. So that being said, I think you're probably going to see some development on that hotel and the spa in the next 5 years. I would think it would be a good target, like good timeline.
Very exciting, and congratulations to you and your team. That is motivation to keep going through all the highs and lows that you experience when you do add something like that to a facility of this nature. As far as the physical plant as we know it right now, and I can't even call it that, we're sitting right now in the parlor of the original home of the Pretty family. This estate has been here since
Late 1900s, yeah.
Yeah, and the family story is quite incredulous. It really is. I'll let you talk a bit about that. But I'm just looking over my shoulder here at this gorgeous banister. Tell us a little bit about the history of the building we're in.
Well, there's all kinds of interesting elements to it and different items. And Betty Ann is always a wonderful treat. She's still here on the property. She lives with us just in the building itself. That banister that you're referring to came from the original Hotel Vancouver. The Pretty family they're amazing people. They like to collect things, I want to say, because there's a lot of antiques from all over the world. The chandelier came from England. I think it was purchased at an auction by her parents. There's that massive dining table. Betty Ann calls it the King's Table, and she's got all kinds of wonderful stories of General MacArthur sitting at that table and the King and Queen at one time joining her, or not her, but her family. Or maybe the previous owner at that. So she's the expert when it comes to the history. I've just picked up the stories along the way, and lucky for me. And that's another important aspect of what we're doing here. The inn itself is an amazing building, and the owners recognize that, the history and the legacy of the Pretty family, and they're trying to maintain a level of that as well.
Which is such a compliment and so filled with respect.
Yeah,
because
I think so.
This all started at some point somehow. So tying it in with your Indigenous partners and then your new owners and maintaining the heritage, it's just stunning. And as I said at the opening, it will forever be one of my most favorite places to get away to. So let me ask you this as we get close to wrapping up this segment. Some of the things that we've touched on so far draw a passion in you while I'm sitting here talking to you, and I can see it. If you were to steal away right now anywhere in British Columbia other than where we are sitting, what would be a wellness vacation to you? What does that mean to you as a hospitality expert and someone who knows our province so well?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been drawn to the ocean, so I'd probably have to go right to the coast and maybe the island. I've always loved the Tofino area, and just the sound of the water, it's always drawn me. That being said, too, I enjoy the mountains. So, I mean, I live in the valley, and it's I couldn't imagine ever living in somewhere without some height. Some vertical. I've been to a lot of places where it's flat, and I'm just like missing home like crazy when I'm in those spaces. So,
yeah, it's so true, isn't it? When you are a coastal babe, which I am, born and raised in Vancouver as well. Yes, it's hard not to be drawn to what our province offers, which is just the wellness aspect of healing and regenerating, rejuvenating, stealing away, right? Just to recharge and disconnect. Yeah. It's here.
We're extremely lucky. I mean, like you said, he said, well, other than here, where would you pick to go? And I'm like, it's our backyard, and when I take a day off, I'm usually just sitting out in front here on the river fishing or something. So I'm not having to go. With a
sign that says "Do not disturb."
Yeah, exactly. Phone's off, or I'm somewhere where there's no reception, further closer to the Harrison, like up the Harrison River. And that's the beautiful thing about what we have here. It's really untapped. It's starting to become more well known, but we have world-class fishing here. I mean, the golf's it's amazing too. There's not a lot of golf courses in the valley, but there's enough of them that if you're a golfer, there's all kinds. There's hiking, there's skiing at the Sasquatch Mountain, which is another group that we're partnering with with the new cabins. We're adding some ski and stay packages, so that's going to be fun because I know they're spending a lot of money, and we're also working with the Indigenous groups to really tell the story of the Sasquatch Mountain. That's part of the rebranding strategy was that. So
marvelous, because I don't think people would think that you could come here skiing. I mean, it's certainly not a Whistler or a Big White or some of the mountains in our Kootenay Rocky region, but it's right here in the backyard.
Yeah, 20 minutes up the road.
And it's a funky little hill. I mean, we've had so many great outings here, as you know, and we've talked a lot about this with Betty Ann and yourself through the years. The wellness is encapsulated here beautifully. You really can do lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Or
just do nothing, right? I was reading your mind there.
Yeah, I was thinking, dare I say nothing? Yeah. Oh gosh, but that's what wellness is. It's so many things to so many people. Yeah. But truly, you have described this so well, and as you know, my husband and I do escape here quite often, and it's for that. It's just unplug the phones so we know the children are well and everybody's okay. Just come and walk and just breathe in the air and savor all of this beauty and nature. I mean, this is forest bathing at its finest.
Yeah, that's a great point. It was one of the things that we've really been careful about is like, one of the things that our guests' feedback is that there's no TVs in the room. There's no phone. We don't have phones in any of the new cabins either. We have added the television and then the Wi-Fi, and that's sort of like you have to have nowadays. But as far as the cabins go, the four classics still don't have TVs. It's just the wood burning fireplace. So you gotta cuddle up in the chairs, grab your glass of wine, and light the fire, and you gotta just sit back and relax. You have to communicate with your significant other there.
Oh, that is it described to the nth degree, and that's exactly why we come here. We love those cabins. They're beautiful. So, Ted, absolute pleasure as always. I can't thank you enough for the hospitality and for joining us today and sharing the insights of what's coming. And we're looking forward to speaking with you again later in the new year, and we'll get some more updates about this beautiful area. What do we say? Rowena's Inn, Sandpiper Resort, Pretty Estates. Which would you like us to close off with?
We'll go with the Sandpiper Resort, and then Rowena's Inn is still Rowena's Inn. It go to on the accommodation side, and then we have the clubhouse restaurant, which caters to all levels. We still do our fireside dining here in the inn, which is amazing and popular. It's once a month generally through our off season, and then we get into wedding season, so we have to use that space for our wedding guests.
But what a place to use.
Oh, it's amazing. I love that.
Surrounded in wellness again,
yeah.
right? For a wedding, this is superb. So, you really have it all here, and we're going to talk more about all of this in our next conversation together, because it's really enjoyable, and I just love seeing your passion come through when you're talking about it. It's so special. So
much fun. At the end of the day, it's so much fun to come up with new ideas and kind of look at what's trending. We just added a new forest ceremony site, and just the little things. It's the little things that you might not think are huge, but they end up being huge. It's that one special day for the bride and groom, and to be able to be a part of like building that is exciting. And it's not all me. We have a great operational team here. Some people have been here for, myself, 22 years now, and then some of the other team members I can think of like 15, 7. So we have some long-term employees that have stuck through some ups and downs, and it's a pleasure to come to work every day. If you want to call this work.
Well, I was just going to say, and you call this a job?
Yeah, exactly. I know. I get that all the time. It's like people. That's a myth, though. Because I work around the golf business, and where I started as a golfer, as they think I'm out golfing every day.
Yeah,
but
we know better.
Yeah, I know you do. You're an industry professional, know.
Yeah, it's that's the half the magic is allowing others to come and experience the hospitality, so they can revel and unwind and enjoy. And as you do, when you need it, you just walk out this front door. I wish I had a picture. We will have pictures, by the way, on the website for this podcast that will show you where we're sitting and what we're taking in here. It's truly just magical. That's the only way to describe it. And as I alluded to Gail earlier, when we came in, the first words were, "Oh my goodness, it's just so peaceful and relaxing." And I could just feel her as my friend and colleague kind of going, okay, so we have to work, right?
Yeah, I know.
This is working.
You drive through the gates, and it's like, that view that hits you, and you're coming down with the river in the background is just like,
yeah,
you can just breathe now, right?
Breathe in and just take it all and relax. So here's to our next conversation in the parlor. It's been a real pleasure, as I said, and I want all of our listeners to take the time to come and visit us at wellnesstravelbc.com and learn a bit more about Sandpiper Resort and what they're offering to help you relax and just escape and recharge and feel like $1 million when you drive away. Even if you're only here for 1 or 2 nights, I can tell you this is magic. And Ted, again, our thanks. Real pleasure to be here with you.
It's always amazing sitting down and having a conversation with you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.